So a couple of weeks ago you will have seen a video of us experimenting around with this homemade parachute. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out because it'll sort of explain how we got to this point. So now we've added these bars, and these bars allow us to control the pitch on either side of the parachute. And so what this means is that we can actually control the direction that the parachute turns in. It actually gives us a heck of a lot of control, and it actually means that we've got really good stability now. It's still a little bit too agile in that it is constantly wanting to turn, but it does mean that we're able to handle that. So that's good. At the moment you'll be seeing all these clips of us experimenting with that. We're sort of playing around on the go-kart for a bit. I'll show you now the clip where I skinned my elbow. That wasn't so fun, but there we go. It's all part of the fun, and yeah, there we go. Now, one of the other things that we found really fun with this was just simply one person hold one handle, the other person hold the other handle, and we could sort of catapult each other into the air. I recommend trying that. It's good fun, but be aware of what you're doing. So anyway, then that leads us on. Under the amount of force that we were dealing with, these bars eventually bent. So if we actually wanted to get airborne, then the bars really need to be stronger. So that's when I then made this modification, and this is where I'm now using much thicker bar, but it's still, the actual metal itself is fairly thin. So what I did is I took the old bars, I straightened them out and then stuck them on the inside, and then used the bend to apply pressure to the bits which were going to receive pressure later on, so to counteract that pressure. Anyway, that's long and involved, but it's actually not that complicated. So then I just drilled holes through the appropriate bits to make everything tie together nicely. The other thing is that I didn't put the rope directly on the D-shackle this time, because the D-shackles were too small to do that. What I did is I tied a knot around the bar, and then put the D-shackle to sort of hold that knot to stop it from slipping off in either direction. The other big difference between this version and the previous version is that I put this material around the top end of the bar where we tended to hold near the D-shackle, and that meant that our hands didn't get hurt, and it was actually beautifully comfy. There's one more difference in here, and that is that I've now got rubber piping around the outside. It's very light, but you should be able to see it there. That also made it a little bit more comfortable, but a lot easier to grip. So I really recommend doing that. So then that takes us out to this beautiful scenery. And as you can see there, it's pretty gorgeous. Now we had to change the camera angle a bit to actually be practical, but there we go. So before we could go and use that scenery, we needed to go and experiment with the thing a little bit, because we'd done it on the flat, and we had a pretty good idea how it handled, but now I had these new bars on there. I wanted to make sure that it behaved the way I thought it would, all that type of stuff. Once we were happy with that, we then went up to this hill which I showed you just a moment ago, and we had a bit of a poodle down, and just sort of taking it easy, getting used to how the thing worked when we ran downhill. And then just towards the end of the day, we were starting to get a bit more confident and sort of really leaning into the thing, and then I had this little mishap here, which is where I got too side on to the wind, and the wind changed at the same time, and so the parachute sort of basically deflated. So what I did to handle that, because I had about 2 meters to fall there, it doesn't look it on the video, but you can do yourself a fair bit of injury in that space, and I didn't want to fall sideways, so what I did is I actually twisted the thing so then I would actually turn around and I landed running forwards, so then I was able to deal with it. I don't know if that's every single case that's the best solution, but that's what I did, and that worked really well for me. So that's getting pretty close to the end of the day. I did a few more sort of jumps just getting down to the bottom, but all in all, it may not look that impressive on video, but it felt awesome. So once again, I've got more things I want to try. This is the last footage that I can actually render before I do the move. So the next load of footage that I get won't be until a few months into the series.